Good morning, Algorand. Guess what? You're a day late and an algo short because this is yesterday's Algorand news. I am, of course, at Real Monty Allen all over Twitter. Hit hashtag Algo News and you could be featured tomorrow. Guess what? I am your crypto nerd. Let's start off today talking about some interesting Algorand news. So first up, we've got GameFi news, right? So we've got Zone over here. Oh, by the way, thank you, Algo Rocks ASA World, for bringing this to my attention. Now, Zone is not brand new. They have been making waves, and I like the fact that they have a crescendo of momentum that is just kind of building upon building. And they keep putting themselves out there. And they've raised another $2.3 million in funding, total of $4.3 million so far, from some pretty big names. We're talking about DAO Maker, GSR, Autonomy, just to name a few. And it's not just about themselves. Like, yes, it's very interesting, the esports, the GameFi, the connection between, the digitally native audience for both cryptocurrency and esports. That's great. They're also talking about the NFT marketplace. They're talking about Axie Infinity, drawing parallels between themselves and Axie. Axie, if you're in the Philippines or if you're familiar with Axie, like Axie was people were earning a living playing Axie, right? So this concept of playing a game and earning income is really taking off. So we're capturing the audience from a couple of different locations, but they're also talking about really Algorand in general. So look at this really bullish statements that they're talking about here. So it's been dubbed as the Ethereum killer. We're talking Algorand is one of the lesser known cryptocurrencies with a market capitalization of almost $9 billion, a mere 1% of industry leading Bitcoins worth of over 792 billion, according to CoinMarketCap. So the fact that they are not just talking about themselves and they're not blockchain agnostic, they're also pushing the ecosystem when we look at them. And I like that a lot. So they're capturing audience from a couple different sources. They're, the gaming community, the esports community, the blockchain community, the NFT, aficionados. They're trying to gather up all of these folks together. And I like that approach quite a bit. All right, Algo Batman always comes through for us because he is the real Algo superhero here. So he put out, just a retweet of the Algo Foundation about Algorand's partnership with Scilab over at Carnegie Mellon. And this is the Carnegie Mellon. I'm actually surprised that we didn't have something in place with them already, given proximity to Algorand tech company anyway. But now we've got some kind of official partnership, and this is just in line with the continued push for education in blockchain surrounding Algorand. Algorand, if you're not familiar, they have several programs. They've had outreach programs. They've partnered with many university and college education, some high school programs even as well, I believe, and some, like trade school style programs to get developers up and running and creating on the blockchain. This is the long-term play that we're looking at, ladies and gentlemen. This is the future of Algorand, and so they are already investing in the future to have people thinking about building on Algorand proactively. It's a smart move on their behalf. AlchemyPay. So AlchemyPay, this is the real deal. AlchemyPay has huge accounts right now. So if you're not familiar with AlchemyPay, they've got probably their largest merchant account. Here's their website, or here's the article there. Largest merchant account is probably Shopify. So Algorand's logo isn't even up here on the blockchain partners section yet, but they did put out this announcement, and this allows onboarding of fiat in several different ways, plus direct access to these merchant networks. So this is a pretty big deal. I'm surprised it didn't get more coverage, as a matter of fact. So I want to point out that we've got 60 different countries available right now with AlchemyPay. And it's not just smaller countries. I mean, we're talking about the U.S. here. We're talking about major markets where AlchemyPay is available right now. They partner with Binance, Huobi, DAO Maker, Gemini. Like these are major players. Polygon, we just saw in there. We're going to talk about Polygon here in just a second. So keep an eye out on AlchemyPay. I'm not sure if this is going to move the needle on price action. People are always asking me, Monty, crypto, what's going on with the price action? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. If I did have a crystal ball, I wouldn't be talking to you yahoos, right? I'd be sitting in the tropics somewhere. But, you know, I enjoy the journey, and I hope you do too. And it's fun to look at this and see how we're growing and see what's going on. All right, I promise you we talk about Polygon here in just a second. So we've got the YESP token coming, right? So the YLDY team has put out this ES Sports, announcement, launching esports into the metaverse coming soon. And there's not really a whole lot going on here. There's not a lot of information. They got some nice graphics. There's a lot of speculation, really. I'm going to speculate that this has something to do with the Polygon bridge, and there was I noticed some negative feedback from the community. I was surprised that they were worried that, hey, you just keep diluting the supply of or value of YLDY because now it's not worth as much because you're using a new token. Darn you. But I think of YLDY as sort of the hub. So I want my YLDY to be the centralized, exchange, and I want it to be paired up with all of these other ASAs because I want YLDY to be kind of like the base coin. And I'm happy with all of these other ASAs. In fact, I'm not even sure, like this one might be part of the bridge or first step towards the bridge with Polygon because this esports metaverse, the audience here is much wider than Algorand alone. And I think we need to capture some of that audience from other blockchains. Plus, if they partner with any other, sports teams or any other vendors or advertisers, maybe those other advertisers wanted a piece of the pie. They're not going to likely give up YLDY, but they could have this spin-off like joint venture to make it happen so that everybody else has a vested interest in making this happen. In which case, you got other partners that are valuable that you need to bring on board, and this is a happy way to do that. So in the traditional business world, like this would be like a joint venture possibly. I don't know if that's the case, but that's definitely a possibility. And that's okay. It happens all the time in the business world. You don't just wholly own something as a subsidiary. Sometimes there's a joint venture. And even if it is a subsidiary, maybe it's still got its own brand and identity. So just because they're not using YLDY proper, you know what I mean? Like they're not using the straight up YLDY token for everything is not something to get worried about. In fact, I like the fact that they've got these spin-offs because in my mind, it makes the YLDY token that much more valuable because it does have all of these other like I don't know if they're called subsidiaries. They're not directly connected. It's not an ASA of YLDY. YLDY's not layer 1, but it acts as if it was a layer 1 in a lot of cases with their launchpad activities. So I'm keen on this. I want to watch it. I think that the team is looking out for the best interest of the community. They've done a lot of good for us, and the value that they give on the pools is still pretty darn fantastic. So there you have it. Now the AMA. This is what you came for. You want a quick summary. I'm going to give you a 2-minute summary. All right, maybe 3 minutes. I was going to write a whole summary, but Fred over here already did it. So thanks, Fred. Let's just go check yours out and talk about it a little bit. So Paul, was he the one that was dropping all the time? I think so. So Paul was dropping all the time, but he still had a lot of good information to share about upgrades coming. Especially, smart contracts. There was a lot of talk about TPS increases. Now, we are going to go from 10,000 to 46,000. And these larger companies are going to require that increase. So I think that is good. Some talk about carbon credits, climate trade. The partnership there is good. Right. One of the things I love about Algorand is the green crypto, ethos that they are going to continue to pledge to be carbon negative, not just carbon neutral, but carbon negative by offsetting through carbon credits. I think that's important. CBDCs. So CBDCs and the ISDA news. So yes, those are still in play, but they are very slow moving. We're not just talking about implementing, by a startup or a company that can just, put out an ASA. We're talking about an entire country or an entire industry supported by basically the entire world. So you're talking about one country, let alone many countries and their economies. So I'm not surprised that these things are moving slowly. The important thing is that they are moving. I think that an inch in those markets is worth a mile in some other markets. So I will take that inch and be happy about it. And as long as we are inching forward day by day, then I think we're doing right. Kelly, very articulately, congratulated the Tiny Man team for being all in the community, for being all in with them, and for having some rapid response and some transparency. Do we wish it never happened? Do we wish that maybe a few things happened differently? Of course, but it's not so important that it happened. I mean, that is important, obviously, but I am watching the response, because I think the definition of a company and of some people and their integrity is how they handle adversity, how they get up from that, how they bounce back. I think that's when you really see the worth of a company and a community, for that matter. So when something happens and we bounce back, I think it's a good thing. So the play to earn space. So HiveMind Capital's investment should see a boom. And we've already talked about some of that already today, right? So we've got the zone stuff happening. We've got other play to earn players coming into the markets in droves. I think that is good. ISDA, we already talked about that. Wallet upgrade coming out in a few weeks. I didn't know this was coming out. I knew that it seems like they're always kind of tinkering things. Paul said it's a month. Kelly said a few weeks. I'm inclined to believe Paul. I think that, it might, I wouldn't even be surprised if it takes, 6 weeks or something like that. I think sales and marketing, we always want things to happen like instantaneously, and we are hopelessly optimistic. But Paul says that, hold on, let's put the brakes on that. It might be a little longer. Decipher, it's going to happen annually. I think it's cool that it was in Miami, but I want it to bounce around. So I would like to see other locations that they're checking out with the foundation. I would like to see some variety there. Maybe like a 5-year rotation. Or you remember like the Pro Bowl if you watch U.S. football, like it was like in Hawaii, and then it was in Miami, and then it was in Hawaii, and then it was in Southern California, and then it was in Hawaii. Like every other year they go back to someplace. So maybe every other year we go back to Miami. But we're going to need a bigger venue, I think. Or those tickets, those alligator prices are going to go way up. So that's interesting there. So anyway, zero downtime. Some more DEXs are going to come online. That's good for everyone. We're going to talk a lot about DEXs this week, I feel like, maybe this weekend too, with coffee with Crypto and Coop. So pay attention to that Sunday at noon. I think we're going to talk about some DEX action. There's a lot of movement there. And more AMAs from the team. So look out for more communication from that team. I love it. YLDY check. All right, so what's the current APY on some of the YLDY staking pools? All right, so the main staking pool here, right? TVL of almost 2 billion. Is that 2 billion? I think so. YLDY, about 39 million USD. So APY is 25%. The YLDY to Akita, this new Teal 5 pool, 18%. ARC to ARC is blowing my mind at 2,718%. This choice is at 1,920%. Even Xfinity is 93%. YLDY to choice is 70%. Now, some of these ASAs, if they don't have a secondary market, you're really just kind of staking to hold and figure out, okay, what am I going to do with my Akitas? When, how long do I have to hold them? When's Tiny Man coming back? But in my opinion, it's probably worthwhile to at least have some of this, right? Don't put your whole bag in there. But I'm a big fan of having, a sprinkle of this, a sprinkle of that, and kind of, spreading the Monty Wealth, the KryptoNurd bag around just a little bit. I like some diversity. That's not financial advice. That's just what I do, ladies and gentlemen. So anyway, there you go. I am clearly a fan of the YLDY pool, so go check some of them out and take advantage of some of these APYs that are happening right now. That's all that's happening in my neck of the woods. Stay tuned. We'll get you some more Algo news in the future. And don't forget, hit hashtag Algo News, subscribe, hit that notification button so that you get notified when we go live on the weekend with some of our Twitter spaces and some of the other happenings that go on here. So stay safe out there.